How would a Justice Kavanaugh change the makeup of the court and its decisions pertaining to corporate America? Let's bring in Melanie Zanona, a staff writer at The Hill, plus Sara Fagen, CNBC contributor and White House political director under George W. Bush. Sara was also a former co-worker with Brett Kavanaugh. The two worked together at the White House. We'll get to that in just a moment, Sara. But let me begin, Melanie, by asking you this. Apart from the acridly partisan atmosphere on Capitol Hill and in the Senate, and apart from the fact that the Democrats would like nothing more than to even the score for the way Merrick Garland was, his appointment was delayed. They would like nothing more than to even the score for that. What is the biggest hurdle that Judge Cavanaugh faces in getting approval?
Well, look, the truth here is that Democrats don't have a lot of quivers in their bow. So there's not a whole lot they can do other than really hold the line, make sure all their Democrats don't support this nominee, and then also rally Collins and Murkowski, two Senate moderates, to oppose him. And they're going to be looking at whether he supports Roe versus Wade. That's something both of them have said is very important to them. They do not want someone to upset that precedent. And in the past, when he was being confirmed to be a D.C. Circuit judge, he said that he does respect that precedent. So that could be key to locking up their support. Yeah. Also, you heard him in his comments last night in his speech from the White House that he, supports women. He has had female law clerks. He mentioned his wife and his daughter. So that could also be key to locking down some of the conservatives who might be a little concerned about his record with women. I hear
you say it really comes down, the Democrats, it comes down to this, as Thomas Jefferson famously sang to Hamilton in the play, you don't got the votes. and they don't got the votes. If the Democrats want to change courts, they better start winning some elections. Sara, what's he like? You work with him.
He's a person of great integrity. He was a great colleague. He's easily one of the most popular people I worked with during my 6 years in terms of, can't think of someone who didn't like him. He was fair. He was honest.
What was he doing in the Bush White House? What was he doing there?
So he was a lawyer in the counsel's office during the first term, and then the president selected him to be his staff secretary, which is a very important role for a president, someone who helps prepare the president every day for everything the president is participating in.
So he is a deeply, deeply ingrained part of the Washington establishment, isn't he?
Well, he's certainly somebody who has a lot of friends and knows Washington. I think
been around there.
He's been around there, which is actually a good thing. It's a good thing when you stop and think about the ability to influence. It's been reported that many of his circuit court rulings have been adopted by the Supreme Court. It's somebody who has proven that he influences other justices. That's what you want in a Supreme Court justice as a president. So in that regard, I think Trump hit a home run in selecting Brett Kavanaugh.
Melanie, when you take a look out at, we're thinking about and talking about Brett Kavanaugh right now, but obviously a lot of people are also thinking about the next justice to be appointed. And you take a look at the spectrum of the Supreme Court and what Trump is able to do during his administration. By the end of it, let's say he is able to appoint one more justice here. What does that court look like?
This could be the most conservative high court that we've seen in decades, something that Democrats are sure to point to, and they're trying to really energize their base around that point. They're saying, look, we need to get out here. The president has the power to reshape the entire makeup of the high court with not only this pick, but a potential second one if there is another one in his presidency. And that is going to be a huge rallying cry for the Democrats. But look, you have to look at the other side as well. It energizes their base on the Republican side. This is why evangelicals voted for Trump in the first place, was the prospect of having a conservative justice appointed to the Supreme Court. So you're going to see really both sides trying to dig up that point and really rally behind the idea.
Melanie, we understand that he does believe in the power of the presidency. In 2009, he wrote that the president should be protected from things like lawsuits and criminal investigations. How important do you think this could be coming down the line? And did it play a role in the nomination that he's gotten from President Trump?
Look, of course, there's some speculation that this had something to do with his selection. It's no secret that this president could be facing litigation, whether it's with the Russia investigation, the Stormy Daniels lawsuit. And so I think, certainly it probably did play a factor when he did tap Kavanaugh to be the Supreme Court justice nominee. But I think there are other things at play here as well. Number one, he was thought to have an easier path to confirmation. That's something that's really important to Trump. He knows how high the stakes are right now. And number two, this is someone someone who's Ivy League educated. He's a reliable conservative. He's pro-business. These are qualities that he has said he would fulfill in nominating his Supreme Court justice. And I think he did deliver on that promise.
I think when you think about Brett, I think we've talked a lot about, is he pro-business, is he not pro-business today? I don't think of it in those terms. I think he's pro-strict Constitution interpretation, which generally comes down on less regulation, less intervention from federal government. So I wouldn't characterize him as somebody who's going to rule with Trump on an issue. I wouldn't characterize him as pro-business or anti-business. I would characterize him as somebody who interprets the law,
a textualist,
looks at what Congress has authored and interprets it and rules in favor of existing law. And that's what you want in a Supreme Court justice. Conservative or liberal, that's what you should want in a justice, not somebody who's going to make up legislation, which has been part of the problem on the
rules in favor of existing law suggests that he would support Roe v. Wade.
Well, I mean, certainly Roe v. Wade, I mean, that's a whole other conversation that, that's unlikely to come up in that form. There's a different precedent now on abortion that judges typically follow. Plus, science has moved so much in that debate that anything that comes before the Supreme Court is likely not to look like Roe v. Wade.
It's a different conversation.
So it's going to be discussed in the hearings, but it's really theoretical, and it's not likely to be an actual vote that any of these justices ever take.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.